Imagine never explaining yourself to AI again. Just talking to an AI that already knows everything about your life, your goals, your frameworks, your tasks, and then surfaces exactly what you need when you need it. This might sound impossible, and that's probably because every system you've tried was designed for the manual era. Even Notion, Obsidian, building a second brain framework, they all assume you will organize all this information. But why are you still manually organizing information in the AI age? So my name is Ethan. I built and sold over $200,000 worth of AI systems in the last year, and recently I've been obsessed with this idea of using AI as a second brain to manage my entire life and become my sort of life OS, or personal life operating system. So in the past, I tried every system: Evernote, Notion, Obsidian. I've used dozens of tools, and the same pattern happened every time. The first week I tried it, I'm like, oh wow, this is amazing, this is it. A couple of months later, I say I can't really find anything, I can't find these notes or tasks. And then a few months after that, I abandoned the system altogether. What I realized is that all of these systems are like filing cabinets. You organize everything perfectly, but then you never actually end up retrieving it. Like, retrieving the information is the hard part. Meanwhile, you're using Claude 10 times a day, but every single time you have a chat with Claude or ChatGPT, you're rebuilding the entire context from scratch. Here's my framework, you're telling it, here's my process, here's my goals, here's some information, you're copying and pasting information between all these apps. So the problem isn't the organization system. The problem is that you are the one organizing it. And so as a result, I built something different. Not like another note-taking app, not another folder system, but an AI life operating system that uses Claude. I typically have 3 commands: the content command, the plan command, and the journal command. Either I'm journaling, either I'm planning my day and doing tasks, or I'm creating content. That's it. The AI handles everything else. There's no tags to remember. AI updates the databases itself, and all I'm doing is interacting with natural conversation. So this isn't about like how to become more organized, but about having an AI that knows your entire life and intelligently surfaces what you need. So after weeks of trying the system, the AI now knows my framework, stores my ideas, plans my day based on my energy level, surfaces insights and quotes from months ago from books that I read, and that automatically organizes all the information so that I can come back to it later. So before, I had 15 apps, softwares that I was using, and I was constantly context switching between them, endlessly organizing them. And now I have one AI interface, a few commands, and zero cognitive load. So you don't need to just migrate everything over. You can start small. So the first day, you connect Claude to Notion. It takes about a couple minutes. You learn how it works. Then you set up your system prompt. Then you start using it, getting familiarized with it, and you just keep adding layer by layer. That's how I started with the system. And then within a few weeks, you have an AI that knows you better than any system that you built. So I'm going to show you how this works, both inside of Claude Desktop and Claude Code. I now use everything inside of Claude Code because it's a superior way to interact with Claude. But if you're not technical and you don't have the time, I'll show you how to do the same thing in Claude Desktop. So let's go over here into Claude. And basically what we can do is, this is how you set up the system, right? So you're going to create a project. So I have this project called Life OS. I have 6 versions of it that I created. But basically what we're going to do is the first thing before we actually set up the project, we're going to go into manage connectors. So you create a new chat, manage connectors, or you go to the settings to the connectors, and you're going to create a Notion connection. So you're going to configure this. You're going to give it access to all of the different things that it can do here. And if you're first configuring it for the first time, it's going to ask you to sign into your Notion database. You can sign up. I highly recommend Notion. And then what you're going to do is you're going to create a couple databases, right? So I have my content intelligence vault. You don't necessarily need this. This is kind of like all the hooks and titles that I save. Strategy, but most importantly, you're probably going to want a notes database, a task database, and maybe content if you create content. And so basically how you do that is you'll create a new page. You'll create, maybe we'll call this one tasks. You'll create an inline database. This is your task database, and then maybe you call it tasks, right? I'm gonna call this tasks YouTube demo, just because I have other task databases. And then I'm gonna create new task YouTube demo data source. And then you can either use the Notion AI, and I can say something like, let's build this database into a task database. So I want it to have the statuses of like doing, in progress, done. I want to have different views. I want to have today, this week, kind of based on timeline, based on project. And so I want you to think through and reason about how to best build a tasks database. And then I want you to build it for me. So you can either have the Notion AI agent do it for you, like this, or you can actually do it inside of Claude. So once you connect Claude with Notion, you can also go inside here, do a task, and then you can say something like, oops, I didn't mean to do that. Build me out a Notion database that is using a task database. I want you to use your reasoning abilities to think through all of the different properties and fields that we would need inside a database in Notion to manage all of my tasks. So it should have statuses, it should have dates, and I want you to think through all of that. And then I want you to build it out for me inside of Notion. So these are the two different ways that you can start building out the database in Notion. And I'll kind of just let this run, but I'll show you what's happening. You can see it's building out the statuses, the projects, you know, today, this week, different views for me. And then it says you just dialogue with it. Want me to add a priority field? Yeah, please add priority, due date, and backlog. These are all great ideas. That's a tool called Monologue, by the way. If you're wondering how I get the kind of speech to text, I was using Whisper Flow for a while, but Monologue is more private. It runs on your computer, and so you can see it's updating this. It's adding in the relevant things. And then boom, so now we have a task database, and inside of here it's going to use this, it's going to think through what it needs to do. This is an MCP. It'll do the same thing even if you don't have it. And then you're going to ask it, and then it's going to go and it's actually going to create that database for you. I don't really want it to create the database for me because I have so many databases already, but it's going to go and it's going to create that database for you. So I'll just let it go ahead here. But the cool thing is that now you can start giving it instructions on how to find tasks, how to update your tasks, and planning your day. So the next step that we're going to do, you can see Claude wants to create a Notion database from Notion, or create Notion database from Notion. And it's thinking through, and now it's going to go and it's going to create this database for me. And it thought about all the properties that it needs. I don't actually want it to do this, but you would just click allow always or allow once. And so that's kind of how that works. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to set this up, and you can do the same thing inside of Claude Code. So I use everything inside of Claude Code now. And what you would do inside of here, you would launch Claude Code by typing Claude once you download it, and then you would connect Notion. You would go / you would look up Notion MCP. Actually, I'm going to say Notion MCP for Claude Code. And then once I do this, it's going to let me go and find the MCP. And then I'm going to go connecting to the Notion MCP. And then it's going to give me all these instructions. And I need to find the right one inside of Claude Code. Basically, there is just something you have to paste in there. So this is for Claude Desktop. Right. I'm not sure where it's at. I don't know if I went to the right link, but basically you can even ask it, find me the Notion MCP, and then let's add it directly in here. It's pretty easy to set up MCPs inside of Claude Code. You just ask it, like, go find it and let's set it up, and then it will usually just like run the commands and just set it up for you, right? But inside of Claude Desktop, we have Notion is automatically connected. And what we're going to do now is we're going to set up the system prompt. So let's say, let's set up something really simple. Let's set up something like to pull tasks from my database. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to say something like, let's set up a Claude project. And basically what we want to do here is we want to have the system prompt, which is going to have something called the / plan my day process. And whenever this plan my day process this command is triggered, it's going to point to a markdown file in the project files called planmyday.md. And so I want us to create both the system prompt and the planmyday.md file. So the system prompt's primary goal is to see if the user wants to plan their day, to ask them if they have high, medium, or low energy, it's going to ask them to plan their day. If they want to plan their day, it's going to read the planmyday.md file, and inside of that planmyday.md file, we're going to have information. It's going to first ask them if they have high, medium, or low energy, and then based on that, it's going to search the Notion tasks database to figure out which tasks are available for that process. And so this is kind of the gist of it, right? You have a system prompt, which is trying to figure out what things are being triggered, and then it has a markdown file which has the entire process, right? And so it says Quad project instead of Claude. All right, so it's building out the system prompt here. You can see the plan my day command is being, and it's going to start creating these files. I'm just going to show you what the output is just directly. So if I go into my projects, Life OS, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and you'll see what it looks like. So I have the system prompt, and then I have the, plan my day, and then basically it just says whenever this is triggered, load daily planning. Inside of the daily planning file, you'll see that it just says, here's the database inside of Notion. First, ask them what energy level they have, if they have high, medium, or low. And then after that, go and search the tasks database using this retrieval, and Claude will build out this prompt for you if you ask it to. And it will search this task database. It will pull your active goals, and then it will output the task that you're working on, right? So let's go back to this planning day system. You can see it's created the system prompt and the plan my day. So it has the system prompt and the plan my day. So I go to all the steps. So let's just run this, right? So the same thing happens inside of here. What we can actually do, asked it to install the Notion and said, you already have it installed. It didn't help much. But it's the same thing inside of here, except what we would do is I would say update the system prompt, and it would just update it automatically. There's something called claude.json, or there's a system prompt that's already loaded inside of Claude Code, and you can just ask it to update its system prompt, and it will do it for you, right? So this one's mostly, we're going to focus on Claude Desktop, but I have lots of videos on Claude Code as well, and I'll be doing a lot more in the future. So the next thing is, all right, so we have this daily planning prompt, and let's just test this out. So this is the system prompt. Let's go and let's create a new project. Let's do a new project, tasks. And ideally you have lots of different things that it can access, but we're going to add this as a system prompt, save it, and then I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to go here, system prompt, here's the plan my day file, copy, and I'm going to go over here, where was it, tasks function. I'm going to create a file, I'm going to upload text, I'm going to paste it, and I'm just going to call this planmyday.md, accept, and then I'm going to say, all right, let's plan my day. And what it should do is it should recognize that, or it might be looking for the command actually. Let's see if it's still, oh, it does. Okay, what's your energy level? I have pretty low energy today. Okay, so it says that I have pretty low energy. And you should see it's reading that file. And now it should be, I forget if search Notion task database. So it doesn't actually have the like full thing in here. But it's still going to try to search, and what we'll do is once it finishes searching the task database, we're going to say, can you please, I think I have multiple task databases, so I wonder if it's going to search the right one, but it's going to search it, and then what we can do is we can say, now based on that search, I want you to take all of the MCP requests from Notion that you searched, such as the database ID and the different parameters that you search with, and I want you to use that to update the planmyday.md file, right? And so it's going to give me some tasks. Let me see what tasks. Boom, quick wins. Yeah, so this is actually my other database, so I don't want to like show all my tasks that I'm actually going on, but we would say something like this, and then we would just update it, and you can see I give it something to do, and then it just reads this as a process, as a file that it follows, right? So that's kind of the essence of it, right? You can do the same thing in Claude Code. I'll have, again, full things on there, but I'll show you what some of these are, right? So inside of this one, I have the daily planning. I have the task management, where it knows how to update my tasks. I have the task batch, where if it wants to create subtasks. The database schemas, if it wants to figure out how to call Notion correctly. The content process, here's my content process and it knows when to call Notion. The journaling process, here's the journaling process and it knows kind of like how to search for the journaling process. Here's the save protocols, it knows how to save information in Notion and search. And the same thing goes for my kind of content process. So I have a content process over here. I have the editing checklist. So like, here's how you edit. Here's how you research Notion for relevant quotes. Here's the process. Here's the copywriting frameworks, the hook formulas, the script structures. And I use this to create AI safety research, content, AI consciousness exploration. And I built this exact thing out inside of Claude Code, which I would recommend. And like, the problem with Claude Desktop is a lot of times you'll start hitting the limits really fast, especially if you have Notion connected. It'll say you've reached the maximum length and you have to like start a new conversation. The cool thing is that Claude Code never reaches that limit. If it reaches the context limit, there's still a limit technically, but if it reaches it, you can see like we have almost reached it for this one, free space 13,000 tokens. It will auto compact, which basically means it will summarize everything that's happened and it will just keep going. I think that's like the coolest feature from Claude Code. But if you don't want to go a little technical, a little advanced, set it up inside of Claude Desktop for now. Just try this process of having system prompts, having markdown files, kind of referring to them. And then once you finish that, if you want to go a little bit more advanced, then you can go a little bit more advanced. And if you want to learn like kind of the full process, inside of the community, link down below, I have full modules on how to set all of this up, how to set up the MCPs, Claude Code, Claude Desktop, all of the system prompts, all of the agent prompts, the skill prompts. Everything is in the community. If you go to the modules, in the classroom, you'll find all of the relevant modules. But this, I just wanted to give you kind of a primer on the capacity of what Claude can do if you set it up correctly. And so I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you